Boom shakalaka. What is going on, everybody? Randall here from Crypto Love, and I am joined today by Jez Sand from FunFair. What's going on, Jez?
Hey, Randall. Very good. It's one of the hottest days of the year here in London, so we're like dressed for summer, which is not very usual, as it happens every like 10 years for us.
Yeah, do you at least get to see the sun today? I hear you don't see that too much in London.
We have blue skies and sun for actually most of the month, which is also extremely rare.
Well, awesome. Sounds good. I just learned a very interesting fact about you about the OBE name thing. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that was part of your name, but it turns out it's not. So what exactly is that?
So it's a medal of honor that the government and the royal family give to people that they want to recognize. And OBE stands for Officer of the Order of the British Empire. And obviously, there is no British Empire anymore, but they still give medals. And they give medals to, sportsmen and charity workers and celebrities and basically people that they want to recognize. And I was one of the lucky people to be the first to get an OBE for the computer games industry. So that was nearly 20 years ago, like 2002 or something like that. So 16 years ago. And since then, they've done a few of them. So a number of my contemporaries in the computer games world have also been given medals as well.
That's awesome. And we were talking about how you and your team created one of my favorite games as a child, Star Fox.
Yeah, good. There was a lot of excitement around that game because it was the first one to use, at the time, a new 3D technology, which was a GPU chip. So we actually...
I think people in cryptocurrency have heard about a GPU chip.
Right, absolutely. So they heard about it now, but one of them had to be the first one, and that was the Super FX chip that we designed for Nintendo. It's the first completely programmable graphics chip, and we designed it for them, and they used it in Star Fox for the first game.
Wow, awesome. So today we're here to talk about FunFair. So tell us about FunFair.
Sure. So FunFair is a technology company, and the mission is to make games fair and fun.
So then how'd you come up with the name?
I know. We struggled for ages. Actually, it wasn't our first choice of name, to be honest. But when we couldn't use the name, we were going to use Better Gaming was our original code name. And when we found out we couldn't use that because someone else had that trademark, it suddenly came to me, hang on, we're trying to do fun and fair games. I wonder if I could get the FunFair domain. And the rest is history. So yeah, that was good. So the mission of FunFair is to make games fun and fair. And we do that by using the blockchain and the transparency of smart contracts. So the entire platform and all of the games within it are actually built using smart contracts, which is one of the reasons that it hasn't been possible before, because smart contracts were not available before. You couldn't do that on Bitcoin. And so we're able to take the fairness and the transparency to the ultimate level where the player isn't actually making a deposit and they're playing the games from their own wallet. And their funds are going into a smart contract and they're playing a game, and then their funds are coming back to their own account when the game is done. So that has not been possible before, ever. Not with online internet casinos and not with Bitcoin casinos. So this is the first time it's been possible. And that is a true shift in protecting players and making sure they get a fair game.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they get to hold on to all their funds the whole time. It's kind of like how we see that happening with the exchanges nowadays, with the push towards decentralized exchanges. So you
exactly
hold your own funds all the time.
Exactly. It's the same principle that, centralized exchanges where you have to make a deposit and leave your money in the exchange is the ultimate risk that you're taking in exchange for the performance that the exchange gives you in trading. So it's exactly the same compromise in gaming, that you don't want to make a deposit into the casino. You don't want the casino to have custody of your money because that is unsafe and they might keep it or they might run off with it. So you want to be able to play from your own wallet in a decentralized way with smart contracts. The problem is it's too slow to do that. And so there's a whole bunch of technology that needs to be invented to make that fast enough to be fun. And that's where we come in.
All right, well, let's talk about that because that was a question I had coming up. So you're based on Ethereum, but we all know Ethereum is very slow, but you've created these fate channels to help speed
Yeah,
things.
so I mean, to be fair to Ethereum, and by the way, I don't know if you can see, pan down. I am wearing, I'm, as they say, flying the flag today.
There we go.
So to be fair to Ethereum, it is the first platform, the first blockchain that can do smart contracts. So it is a big deal that it can do it at all. But the fact is, it wasn't really built for performance, and it's running at a small number of transactions per second, a little bit more than Bitcoin, but not an order of magnitude more. And that isn't fast enough to do real-time games. You can do slow turn-based games, or you can play games where you don't expect to get a result in a minute. Like there are existing gambling games on Ethereum, like Etherroll is a really good example. It's a very popular game, and it actually is very successful. But be prepared to wait 2 or 3 minutes after you click to roll the dice before you see your result. And that just isn't fun. I mean, people are playing it, so obviously someone likes it, but that isn't what we're used to. We come from the computer games world and the casino gaming world, and games have to be interactive and they have to be compelling. And to do that, they have to be responsive. And so when you click to play a game, you should see the result immediately, like a second later. And some games you need to interact with the game, like blackjack, where you get dealt a card and you hit to get another one, and then you stand when you're happy and you see the result. I mean, those games, the interaction level is lots of transactions happening back and forth, and you don't want those to take even a second. Even a fraction of a second will actually feel slow and laggy. You want it to be instantaneous. And so to achieve that, we built a technology that we call Fate Channels, but is actually a branch of very cool layer 2 technology called state channels. And they let you, apologies for the dog barking in the background, and there's probably
happens here too
in a minute as well. But state channels are a cool technology that let you use the security of the blockchain itself, but take transactions off of the chain and do them back and forth between 2 known parties. So in our case, the player and the casino, and the transactions can fly back and forth really fast. So, you know, you can make a bet, you get dealt a card, you can like stick, and then you can, you know, stand and see if you've won and get paid. And all those transactions go back and forth on the fly. And so you get a fun game. And yet it's all anchored on the actual blockchain, and it's settled on the blockchain. So the funds are already on the chain before the game starts. You can play as many games as you want. And then when you end the game, the funds settle back into your wallet. So that you're not risking anything, that the casino never has your custody of your funds, and you also don't have their funds. It's all held in escrow, real time in a state channel.
Cool.
And it's a very cool technology solution. We are the first people, as far as we know, to have generalized working state channels. It's been talked about for years, but no one's actually achieved it. And we are the first people that are live on mainnet with working generalized state channels.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, it's kind of like creating a bar tab for your gambling. You just start gambling, and then hopefully in the end you win money. But
it is pretty much like a bar tab. Absolutely. You leave your credit card behind the bar, you go like buy some drinks and maybe go back and forth. I don't know how the analogy works. And then you settle at the end, and it's exactly like that. Only 2-way. Because, you know, you're not just paying, you're receiving winnings too. And then the cool thing about the Fate channel technology, the reason it's more special than most, is it's a generalized state channel, in that it's not just payments that are going back and forth. We're actually running the entire smart contract off chain. So we pick it up from the chain, so it's already been audited and exists on the chain, so everyone can see it. Everyone can see this is the blackjack smart contract. And so thousands of people will have played it already, and it'll be well tested and well audited. And then when you start a new game, it pulls that off the blockchain and runs it off chain, but it's running the contract that was on chain. And so there's no contest to the fact, there's no doubt that you are actually playing a live, tested, on the chain game, but you're running it super fast off chain. And then when you're done with the game, it settles back onto the chain again. So you get the best of both worlds. You get blockchain security and blockchain auditability and transparency, but you get internet speeds. You get super fast, real-time game web speeds.
Yeah, well, it sounds awesome. And I mean, congratulations on being the first platform to have the layer 2 solutions intact.
So we actually had it running. The cool thing is we had it running in prototype, like fully playable, before we did our token sale a year ago, more than a year ago. In June 2017 is when we actually showed this to the public and let anyone play. And it's been live on our website for anyone to play ever since. And we just keep updating the technology and improving it the whole time and putting games up onto the platform, lots and lots of games now. So, you know, effectively our date when we first showed this working was more than a year ago, and now we're on mainnet and we're live in beta, and soon when the beta is done we'll be going live with real customers.
Okay, so actually that brings up a question that I didn't really prepare, but I'm just curious with this. So you have a layer 2 solution that's been working for over a year.
Yeah.
Right now with Ethereum, with Bitcoin, they're still working on things like Casper, Plasma, or they're still working on the Lightning Network, and they haven't been able to actually make it production ready. How come you were able to do that and they're not? And why don't you?
Okay, well, that's a very good question, but I'm going to break it down into different pieces. So there's Casper and sharding are actual blockchain core functionality that needs to be a hard fork of the blockchain, and it, you know, it's not finished yet, and there's still a lot of work to be done. And, you know, the core developers do keep upgrading the spec of what they're planning to implement, which also has the knock-on effect of a delay on when it's going to arrive. So
Rated Network was another one that...
Yeah, absolutely. So Casper and sharding, you know, we're told they're going to arrive in the next year or two, but they keep upgrading what they're going to be, and so they're not here today. And so we just have to be patient for those, and they will be cool, and they are really needed. So what we're doing is not in any way affecting the requirement for those to be part of the network. Those other things you mentioned, so Raiden is actually more or less the equivalent of the Lightning Network on Bitcoin, and it's a layer 2 solution, but it's only for payments. It doesn't do what we're doing, which is executing the smart contracts off-chain. And that's partly because Lightning Network runs on Bitcoin, and Lightning Network, well, there are no smart contracts on Bitcoin. I know they say that there are, but there aren't. And so the Lightning Network, all it does is payments. And then Raiden, because it's kind of equivalent, I hate to say clone, but it is quite close to the Lightning Network in design. And so all it does is payments. And payments are useful, but they're only a piece of the puzzle. They're not the whole puzzle. And the whole point about Ethereum is that it is a smart contract platform. It is a blockchain designed to run applications. And as are real applications, they're gaming apps that live on the blockchain. And so we need layer 2 to do the entire smart contract, not just the payment part of it. Because, you know, if you're playing blackjack and you hit to have another card, you don't want that to go on the chain. You don't want to transmit that transaction and wait 30 seconds for the response and then wait another 30 seconds for the card. And then, you know, it would be an unplayable, excruciating game if you were trying to interact with a game directly on the blockchain. So you must use layer 2 technology. And what we've built is the first fully functional generalized state channel. There are lots of others being worked on. There's some fantastic technology from Counterfactual, which is a company in Canada called L4. There's a company in San Francisco called Cello Network. There's one based out of a university somewhere that's called Connext. There's a bunch of them. They're all being worked on. They're all academic experiments that are trying to become useful. And they will, but it's going to take time. Whereas we've built something that runs today because we have all ends of the solution in our control. So we're building the client software, which is the games. We're building the platform, which is the back-end server technology, and we built the middle bit, which is the layer 2 scaling solution. So we're in control of all the pieces of the puzzle, and so we can deliver it today, whereas no one else can, because even when they've built a platform to do generalized state channels, then they next need to teach people how to use it and build applications using it. So they're going to be ages before there are other applications using some of those other state channels, because they're not building everything, they're building a piece of it.
Gotcha. So let's talk about now how your platform is being used. So you're not actually creating the games for people. Well, you're not creating a casino. You're kind of licensing your platform to casinos, to other people to use in that fashion.
I mean, in an ideal world, I'll explain it like that, but it's a bit more complicated than that. But so we have built a gaming platform to power casinos, and so we can license this to any casino that wants to use it, and any existing casino or any new company that wants to be a casino, or potentially even one day individuals that want to run a casino. They can just use our technology, and it's a shrink-wrapped, here's a casino in a box that relies on the blockchain and has all the technology. You're basically running an Ethereum node, so a Geth node or a parity node on a server with that extra little bit of server technology that is the back end of the Fate channel. And then everything else is on smart contracts. So it's a pretty easy shrink-wrappable platform that we can provide to anyone that wants to run a casino. But we're also, because there's no point having an empty platform and launching that into the market if there are no games to play, we've also built the first wave of games for this platform. So we built, there's 10 games showing on our showcase today, but there's another 10 games in development, and there'll be tens more in not very long. So we need games for you to play, otherwise there's nothing for the player to play in the casino. But long term, our goal is to be the owner of the platform and allow people, encourage people to build games for this platform so that it's an open platform. And we've already started that. There's already 2 games companies that are nothing to do with us, one in Asia, one in Europe, that are building games for this platform. And they're our test cases. And when we've got their games done, then we can help everyone else do it. So we can provide the APIs and the documentation and the the example source code to show people how to build games for this platform, because it's very different than the way that people used to build games. And then there are no servers. There's the old way of doing games, the way that all internet casinos today do it, and even all Bitcoin casinos do it today. They have servers somewhere, gaming servers. They call them RGS, remote gaming servers. And they live usually on some offshore island somewhere, like somewhere in the Caribbean or somewhere on Indian territory in the US or Canada. And they run, and there's thousands of these servers, and they run the game. So when you're playing a game locally on your internet device, you're really playing the game remotely on someone's server. And so there's no transparency and no auditability and no visibility. And not that they would ever dream of cheating you, but if they ever did, you would never know. And obviously there are some examples of people being cheated. So because of that, people don't want to trust to use an online casino where they don't have transparency, visibility, provably fair, and so on. So we built the technology that lets the games run on your side. The games run effectively on the client. They run on your internet device, and they run at the same time on the other end of the Fate channel, so that they can run at the same time and they can make sure that they're both playing fair. And that's the way it works. Okay. So it's a massive improvement in player protection and fairness.
Yeah. So with that, because it is running on your end, does that increase the amount of legal work that you have to go through to make sure that everything works out there?
Okay, so very good question. We are assuming that the legals are the same, and so we have started applying for gaming licenses that we will pass on to our licenses. So if someone licenses to use the FunFair technology in their casino, they will be able to use our license for them to be able to offer it. So they don't need their own license. Now that's for the small companies. The bigger companies will already have their own license, and they will just tell whoever they're working with at the regulatory body, they just tell them they're going to use the FunFair technology now, and and check that that's okay. So we're assuming it's the same, but the reality is that the way the technology works is actually very different. So it's possible that there are some laws that exist that didn't consider the technology that we're using and that we've developed, and that it might actually be legal in more places, and it might open up the market wider than it is today, because some countries gaming is not available, and some countries it's licensed and regulated, and some it's just grey and people do it anyway. And so by having new technology that not only protects everyone who's playing it, but also is completely different in the way that it is architected, it might actually be more possible to launch it in more countries than has been possible before.
Oh, cool. So next question I was curious about was, you mentioned that you have the game running on both ends to ensure fairness. How else do you ensure fairness? Because I've heard it's kind of difficult to prove fairness or randomness or anything like that.
Definitely. So I think that there's three major things that in my mind make it provably fair. The first one is the random number generator, the RNG, and that in traditional casinos is done on the server, and you get no visibility or accountability for it. And you just have to believe that they picked random numbers, and that once upon a time they had them audited, and someone somewhere rubber stamped it and said, we like their random number generator, it's fine, trust us, it's totally fine. Here's our seal saying that the random number generator is good. So we're not, buying that. So the way our random number generator works is that when the fate channel is opened, and this is actually the reason why we call it a fate channel and not a state channel, is because fate is involved, and that is the randomness of the game. And so when we open the channel, both sides, the player and the casino, provide a seed, effectively, which is their random number that they have each picked. And then they use what we call a hash chain, which is they hash that number and they hash it again and they hash it again, and they hash it each 10,000 times, and they remember these 10,000 hashes that they've got. And then when the games are running and they want a random number, they each swap one of their hashes that they've produced, but in reverse order. So no one could have predicted it, because it's mathematically impossible to reverse a hash. It's a forwards function. Mm-hmm. You can, from one, you can get to the next one, and the next one, the next one. You can't ever go backwards. It's just the amount of computing power is insane, like a trillion years kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But so when they hash forwards 10,000 times, and then they deliver them when the game needs them backwards, they swap their hashes and hash them again, and that becomes the random number. So firstly, it's completely proven mathematically to be unpredictable. Secondly, each random number is a combination of both the player's seed and the casino's seed, so neither of them could cheat. So the random number is guaranteed random and guaranteed unpredictable. And this works because there's two parties talking directly to each other with no server. No one else is involved in this. You actually get potential for weakness or cheating if you had a third party involved. So just having two parties involved is actually one of the things that makes it guaranteed fair. So that's the random numbers are fair. Then the actual games themselves, this is another place that smart contracts helps us, because the games, all of the game outcomes, the entire rules of the game are encoded in the smart contract, and that is on the blockchain. And then even though we execute it off-chain, we are executing it from where it came from the blockchain. And so it's already been audited, and everyone can see it, and everyone can see how it executes. And so the rules of the game are guaranteed provably fair to execute how you expect, because you can see the code. It's there. Any expert or anyone that can understand or audit smart contracts can see that the games are provably fair. And then the last thing we do is we don't need a deposit. The existing casinos, including all the credit card ones and all the Bitcoin ones, force the player to make a deposit into their custody before the games can be played. And so if you win, firstly, you might not know if you won or not, because they don't, there could be some cheating going on and you'd never know. But secondly, even if you did win and your account balance shows that you've won, you might not be able to get the money. Like, you can ask for a withdrawal, they might delay it or withhold it or run away with it. You know, anything could happen. Now, 99% of the time, that's not going to happen. You know, most casinos are fair and you will get your money. But there are cases, there have been all the time cases through history where people have got screwed. And we just want to make sure that it's not physically possible, that the technology guarantees that the random numbers are fair, the games execute fairly, and that the players' funds are in the player's wallet at all times, apart from when they're in escrow. And even when they're in escrow, they're not in the casino's custody, they're in the smart contract's custody. And then when the game ends, like literally, if you quit the game a minute later or seconds later, the funds are back in your wallet, you know, immediately. There's no asking for a withdrawal or trusting anyone to give you your money. It's effectively in your wallet immediately. And all of those things mean that the games are provably fair and that the player is protected to the maximum extent possible.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've done everything to make it both fair and fun.
We've had to do more because of the legal requirements. So we've also built a KYC system that's called Funpass, that because each country has different laws, and blockchain, while it is technically possible, it could allow you to break the law, it doesn't give you the right to break the law. And so each person needs to prove where they're playing from. And if you're in England and you have to abide by the UK laws, you will register once for the Funpass, and you'll provide your details and get KYC'd, and then it will tag your Ethereum address as being whitelisted. And from then on, you could go to any casino, like any Funfair powered casino, and it can respect the your Ethereum address as being whitelisted, and it doesn't need your information. You don't need to log in. You don't need to provide your information again. By using that address, you are inherently, you've already passed the test, and you can just use that address whenever you want. But it also means that, and these are some of the, you know, the player protection issues, that if you have a gambling problem and you want to self-exclude yourself, you can ask, I don't want to play anymore, please ban me. And then it can tag your address as you have self-excluded, and then it won't let you play anymore. And that is actually a legal requirement that we have to do. And we want to do that because we never want someone to play that doesn't want to play. And we can guarantee that it's going to work because it's built into the blockchain and it's built into the technology to make sure that it respects that. And you could go to any casino that's Funfair powered and it will respect that and it will respect your wishes. Similarly, if you're 18, you're allowed to play in the UK because that's the legal age of gambling. But if you're in America, say, the legal age is 21. So your age would be encoded in the smart contract in a way that if you're playing in England, you're allowed to play, and if you're playing in America, you're not allowed to play. And it's kind of, and the rules in each country are different, and we have to respect that.
That's very cool. So you're talking about a lot about going to these Funfair powered casinos. Where are you in terms of getting into casinos or getting to places where people can actually go and use this?
Great question. So we are in beta test. We're live on mainnet. So it's actually, for us, it's a key milestone that, as far as we're concerned, the tech is done, and now we're just polishing it and fixing some last-minute bugs, adding some last-minute features, and we're about to go into beta test on the Funpass, the KYC solution that I just described. So we're in the final stages of, prior to release. We've already announced the first 2 casinos that will be live. One of them is actually owned by us, but separate. So it's not actually a Funfair brand. It will be Funfair powered, but it's a completely new brand that we have yet to announce, but we will announce soon. And the other one is a partnership with a very good affiliate. The affiliate is called Rake the Rake, but that's not the name of their casino. They will announce the name of their casino in due course. But those will be the first 2. And to a large extent, those are experiments. So they are going to be real live customer-centric casinos, but we want to prove to everyone else, this is what you do, this is how they work. There's a stack of people waiting. Either they're waiting for licenses or they're waiting for, to be allowed in. And we think this is a good proof of concept, because especially affiliates are the people that find players. They're the marketing experts. They find players and they deliver them to casinos, and they get paid for delivering those players. And some affiliates want to have their own casino and would love to, but they don't have the technology to do it, or the licensing, or it's too expensive. So we have a package solution that will be perfect for affiliates. They could, a few clicks and they can run a casino tomorrow. Instead of sending traffic to other people's casinos, they could be sending traffic to their own casino. They'll make more margin and they'll own those customers. So it's a very exciting, we call it a rich theme, like it's a unexplored part of the mine. There are thousands of affiliates in the world, and some of them want to run casinos. So we can help those guys tomorrow do that. And then, of course, there's the existing casino companies, some of whom want to run crypto casinos. And so we have a good solution for them.
Awesome. So I'm curious, what excites you the most about FunFair?
For me, actually, I'm a technology guy, so I love technology. I got into this, I was in crypto first, and I was in computer games very, very early. Then I was in crypto, and then I was thinking, what problem can blockchain solve that really needs solving? And for me, with my background in gaming and games and blockchain, the problem was people don't trust casinos. There's a trust issue. And what does blockchain do? It's a trust machine. It allows you to create technology that can operate and do things that normally would require trust, but doesn't when you get the technology right. So I'm just very excited that for the first time, the technology is possible to do this, and to do it in a way where no one's going to have an unfair game, where the casino can't be cheated and the players can't be cheated, and neither actually can all the other suppliers in the chain, the game developers and the affiliates. So it's a very all-encompassing solution that could disrupt a very large industry, an existing industry that is worth $50 billion this year. And some of that market would be ideal for disruption.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great use for blockchain. So I guess the last question that comes from that is, what incentive, other than being known as a trustworthy casino, what incentive do you think casinos will have to use FunFair?
So we are totally conscious of the fact that we're trying to sell existing casinos something new that they don't need. And so to make them want it, firstly, we're not charging for it. So that's new, because normally they pay a platform license fee. They actually pay a revenue share for all the revenue that the casino generates. They pay that to whoever provided their software to them, and we're not charging that. So it's cheaper. It's like, that's a no-brainer. It's cheaper. Yeah. But also all of the other parts of the puzzle are cheaper, because with a credit card casino, there are credit card fees to pay. And there's also chargeback risks, because some of the credit cards that you accept will be fraudulent or stolen, and the people will find out and will charge back so there'll be a refund given to the original owner of the credit card, and the casino will lose money. And then there's customer service requirement to do all this payment processing for credit cards and for Bitcoin even. And all of that is eliminated. So a lot of the overhead of running a casino and actually accepting payments is eliminated. Firstly, when you use cryptocurrency, because it's like cash. And secondly, when there's actually no deposit. And so most of the customer service calls that a casino gets are, where's my deposit? Or where's my withdrawal? And we don't have a deposit or a withdrawal. So most of the casino's overhead goes away. So if we're not charging them a commercial license to actually use our software, and they don't need a customer service department for the payment processing or the credit card transaction fees, it is more profitable for them to run this casino technology than whatever they've got now. There's actually one more major cost saving. All the existing casinos use servers that are offshore. Those servers cost money to run, and that rack in that offshore island costs money to rent, and the bandwidth to that offshore island is very expensive bandwidth. So the overhead in running a remote gaming server is very high, and we don't have that cost. We're on the blockchain. The miners are our back-end servers. They're just mining Ethereum transactions, and for us, the only two transactions are opening the fake channel and closing the fake channel. Everything that happens in between is off-chain in the fake channel, and so the vast majority of the transactions are off-chain, and there's no remote gaming server involved. The game is running locally on the customer's own web browser.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Sounds very, very, very good. Well, Jez, anything that I didn't cover that you wanted to mention in this interview?
No, I think I've been given the chance to explain what FunFair does. I think we're in a new space in blockchain and with tokens and so on, and there's a lot of complications and complexity, and there's a lot of new ventures that are cool and exciting, and there's also a lot of scams and a lot of naive companies that are taking money without knowing what to do with it. So I hope that this whole sector becomes more mature and gets better at what it's doing, because it's a very exciting space, and the tech deserves to really proliferate and succeed. And I just get upset anytime I see someone get scammed. That's kind of one of the things that drives me is I just hate all. I think a large proportion of tokens actually aren't legit, either because they're naive and don't know what they're doing, or they're actually criminal. And so that's just one of my bugbears, is that I hate to see that happening. And I hope more of the legit companies succeed.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you're doing a great thing with FunFair, and I mean, honestly, I'm very impressed after talking with you. I got a lot more from talking with you than I did from reading the website and the white paper, so I thank you for that very much.
It's a pleasure. I think we're going to have to improve our website and white paper then, if if we're not hitting the spot.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is, so after watching this, if anyone wants to find out more information about FunFair, what's the best ways to stay updated?
Our website is funfair.io, and there's a showcase on there where you can play the games and see the technology for yourself, and that's showcase.funfair.io. We have a Twitter feed, FunFair Tech. We have a Discord and a Telegram channel, which you can get links on our website. But we have a very active community, and there's a lot of excitement and chatting in the community all the time. So no, it's a good place to be.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Jez. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Randall. Take care.
Peace.